There have been a number of achievements in the last 6 months in the Gender Poverty and Social Policy Division. A lot of it has to do with starting with the Conference of Ministers which took place in March 2023. And there we had prepared issues paper on the theme of the Conference of Ministers, which is to do with how to address the issues of poverty and vulnerability on the continent. And the reason why that issue has become important has been since the COVID-19 pandemic. There have been a number of succeeding shocks on various economies. And the most recent one is the price inflation as a result of the Ukraine war. And so it has become an important issue that countries do focus on building resilience and having a speedy economic recovery. So the issues paper was speaking to that. Following on, we have a number of other achievements in the last 6 months. And one of them has also been to do with building a methodology for assessing poverty, getting poverty estimates in the absence of the most recent data. What has happened is after COVID and the lockdown, the entire statistical cycle of collection of data has been affected. And so the policymakers, while they need to come up with some very strong strategies and policies, they don't have the latest data. The evidence is dated, and the pre-COVID data cannot always be used in the post-COVID situation. And so what we are doing at the moment, we have discussed this, we have presented it in one country, in Namibia, that we are developing a methodology where we can impute the latest consumption of households in the latest situation. So what we do is that we combine this with the existing data and we apply it on the existing survey results to get current estimates. And our initial tests have revealed that they are very close to the actual estimates. And so in that sense, that's a very good tool for member states to be able to get quick and ready data for policy making. That's one. Then the second thing that we have been doing is on the issue of migration. Migration is very big on the continent and for ECA. We have been working with colleagues in IOM and our partners in the AUC to essentially look at the migration and also to prepare for a continental review of the implementation of the Global Compact on migration, which is due in May 2024. So we are in the process of developing a UN network for migration with our colleagues in IOM in Geneva, and so as to have a very inclusive approach to a review, a continental review of the implementation of the GCA. And lastly, one of the other things that I would like to draw attention to is the work that we are doing on social protection, which is linked in many ways to our work on the poverty. But that work is only just beginning, and we will see some action on those in the next 6-month period, which is basically to develop and strengthen capacities of member states to devise social protection policies, keeping in mind the fact that populations now, and especially the poor people, are affected much more strongly because of a series of crises. In fact, what COVID-19 has told us, has informed us, has alerted us to the fact that it is not just a single crisis. So if it is COVID-19, we got over that, then we have got into the price rise, price increase, then there's been a problem of the Ukraine war, and as a result of which, the impact is being felt at the people who are most vulnerable and are very close to the poverty line. And so one of the focus areas that we have is, which extends both in our poverty work and in social protection work, is to strengthen the resilience of those people who escape the poverty line but are still very close to the poverty line. And so there is usually a danger, and which very often happens, and as we have noticed in Africa in the last couple of years, where the number of poor people have increased by about more than 50 million, because the people who had escaped poverty in the last few years have fallen back into poverty. And so in that sense, their success has not been, has been extremely fragile and not something that can be sustained over time. So I think that gives you an overview of the kind of work that we are doing in the division and we expect to do over the next 6-month period.